Hey, you guys. Happy Wednesday. Super excited to have you guys here. Oh, hold on. Listen. Gotta get it together. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Passionate Pursuit of Manifested Purposes. Let's get raw and work the word. This is what our Wednesday night Bible study is. I'm super excited that you guys are here. Let me share, and I encourage you to do the same. Let me share. Love it. You guys come on in. And let me know who's here and where you are tuning in from. Let me know who's here and where you are tuning in from. Tonight is going to be interesting. Hey, Mike, how are you? This is Tupac's birthday, and so I really felt compelled to do something related to Tupac, and we're going to use a particular chapter of the Bible, and we're going to relate it to Tupac's life and see the lessons that Tupac teaches us that correspond with the Word of God. So let's get busy. You guys come on in. Oh, let me share. Hold on. Let me share. Good evening. I missed it, y'all. Okay. All right. Let me just. All right. So tonight we are talking about some lessons from Tupac's life, and we're gonna go. Hey, Stacy, how are you, gorgeous? We're gonna go to the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and we're gonna start there. There are several significant lessons in this, and this chapter is not structured accidentally. Like, there's purpose in the way that this chapter is structured. And we're going to talk about that structure and how it relates to some things that we've learned from Tupac. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Matthew chapter 7. Let me share my screen. Now, depending on where you're watching from, it's going to determine whether or not you're going to be able to see my screen with the scriptures on it, right? So if you're watching from Veronica Duncan Walters, you're not going to be able to see my screen with the scriptures on it. So you guys are going to have to listen, open up your Bibles, and see where we are. But we are in Matthew chapter 7, and we're going to be reading from the New Living Translation. All right. So we're going to start at the beginning. And the word of God reads, "Do not judge others, and you will not be judged." Oh, we just failed. So many of us just failed that quickly, right? Do not judge others, and you will not be judged. For you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, "Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye," when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. Don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. Don't throw your pearls to pigs. They will trample the pearls and then turn and attack you. We're going to stop right there. So one of the things that Tupac was known for was, first of all, making some amazing music. He absolutely did. He made some amazing music, right? But not only did he make amazing music, but he also was known for being a revolutionary. And I think part of that was his mother's legacy. His mother's legacy, she was a part of the Black Panther Party. And so he was exposed to a lot of revolutionary thought very early on in life. And so when you look at Tupac, Tupac shows up as a rapper, but he's got a little revolutionary twist to him, right? Not only a revolutionary twist, but you know, and this is really interesting. So I live in Tampa, Florida, right? And Tupac really got introduced to the world through, oh my goodness, what was the name of the group? The Digital Underground, because he was one of their dancers, and Shock G. Shock G, who recently passed, he passed this year. His family is here in Tampa. So when I look at these connections, you guys, you got to understand that you never know what connections are going to show up. Now, y'all may say, well, Dr. V, why are we talking about Tupac? And I'm going to tell you why we're talking about Tupac. Tupac made such a huge impact on the world and the world of music. He made a huge impact on the world and the world of music. Tupac brought to light a lot of stuff. Now, listen, I'm not going to get into all the Suge Knight stuff and all of that, but let's just talk about some things real quick. I'm not even going to get into Jada Pinkett, okay? But let's talk about some things. You know, most of the time when you thought of rappers, you thought of people who were uneducated. So when you look at Tupac with his tats and all of that, matter of fact, let me pull up a picture of Tupac. Some images of Tupac. Okay. So let me stop sharing here and let me share this other page. And I'm going to show you some different images, right? All right. So let's talk about Pac. Right? Let's talk about Pac. You know, he's tatted, right? He's tatted. He's got these tattoos all on him. You know, one of them says outlaw, like they say different stuff. So, you know, he's tatted up. So you think, okay, well, he's tatted. Well, he wasn't just tatted, right? This one is one that's said, you know, he was seen smoking weed. So, you know, you think, oh, he's a pothead, right? What does he have to say of value to the world? He's got his gold chain. You know, he looks like, okay, you know, Pac is, you know, okay, he's one of them. He's got a nose ring, you know, like all of these things, you know, that stood out. He's wearing bandanas, right? You know, is he, you know, part of the gang? You know what's going on, right? Flipping the bird, right? You know, all of these images of Tupac, right? Now let me tell y'all something. Now his images, right? The images that people see, the images that people saw may cause them to think that he's uneducated. But this is the tripped out thing. No, not New York. Oh, but this is the tripped out thing about Tupac. Tupac went to a school of performing arts. He was a trained actor, right? So he was trained in classical, like Tupac was trained, right? So he understood classic art, classic music, classic theater. He understood those things and was trained to operate in those realms. But when you look at him, he didn't look like that. Now, so this is the thing. So when you talk about not judging people, right? And the fact that when you judge people, the same measure you use to judge them is the measure you're going to be judged with. So if you judge a person from their external, from their exterior appearance, from what you think you know about them, that's your judgment that you're using on them. Just do not be surprised when somebody judges you the same way. So literally, you're going to get what you put out. You're going to get what you put out. See, when you begin to understand that life is too short to be focused on everybody else and what everybody else is doing. Life is too short to be focused on what people didn't do right, what they got wrong, and all of that, because what? You got your own life that you got to worry about. You need to be focusing on you, your life, what you got going on, and what you need to do in your life. See, when you look at your life, Elizabeth said, he's like Howard Stern, Amy Winehouse. Well, what you see is way more than you can imagine. Absolutely. And I think that was the thing that created some conflict for Pac, is that, you know, he was existing in a world that saw him one way when really there was so much more to him, right? And you may be able to relate to that. You may be a person who people look at you and they see the surface, but they don't see all that's in you. They don't see, they don't get that. They don't understand that. That's not showing up for them. And so what happens is they begin to judge you based on things that are not an accurate reflection of who you are. They're not an accurate reflection. And so when you are being judged by something that is not an accurate reflection of who you really are, and there's so much more to you, then you end up finding yourself frustrated with life, frustrated with people, frustrated with systems, because it seems as though everything is working against you, right? So let's go back to the word and let's talk about this judgment, because, you know, there are people who say, but God has called us to judge, rightly judge, okay? Let's go back for a second. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged. For you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. Okay, now pause right there. I'm drinking coffee, girl. And then it says, and why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? Pause. Now listen, one of the things that I've discovered over time is that people who have a tendency to be the most judgmental have the most going on in their life. Like, they judge others in order to avoid dealing with their own life. So the judgment piece is something that they use as a defense mechanism to avoid dealing with their life and what they have going on. Now, listen, all I'm going to say is this. It's extremely difficult for you to have a clear picture of what's going on in someone else's life when you've got something stopping your vision or preventing your vision from being full. It's difficult. And so therefore, why do it, right? Why do it? Why focus on that which is going on with someone else instead of focusing on you? I'm determined. Life is way too short for me to be so consumed with other people's lives and what they have going on that I don't focus on mine. I have enough to deal with just focusing on mine, just making sure my life is together, making sure I'm walking out God's will for my life, right? Because that's really what it's about. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, right? We're talking about to your friend. We're not talking about to some stranger, but this is to your friend. Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye when you can't see past the log in your own. Hypocrite. First, get rid of the log in your own eye. Then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. Okay, now stop right here, because then we're going to go into verse 6, and I'm going to talk about why I believe that verse 6 is connected to this piece, right? So, you know, the whole thing is focus on you. Get you together. When you get you together, you'll better be able to help other people, right? You'll better be able to identify what's going on with them and help them to remove things and to move forward, right? But this is the thing. So, so many people have so much to say about other people's lives and what other people have going on in their lives. About how they live their life, where they go, what they do, who they're with, all of these things. And yet, there's a refusal to really deal with you. So this really shows up in relationships, right? So there may be an issue that your partner, your significant other deals with. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself judging them. I know I've been there. I know I've done that, right? I've operated in a space of judgment like, oh, how could you do this? Like, I'm so much better because what I do is not that, right? But the reality is we all have something that we do or things that we do, things that are issues or challenges for us, areas of challenge that we have in our life that we have to deal with and we have to work through. Well, see, the reality is that it's easier to not deal with your stuff when you focus on someone else's stuff. But how much more could we get accomplished and how much more could we help one another if when we are in the midst of some things, we would go ahead and deal with us, be honest about where we are, address it, and then maybe we can see clearly enough to be able to assist someone else. I don't know if you guys have ever had someone try to get something out of your eye, but I know that there have been times when I had something in my eye. You know, when you get that speck in your eye, you're like, oh my God, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. Can you get it out, right? Can you get it out? If the person can't see well, they're not going to be able to help you get it out well, right? So they're going to be sticking their finger in your eye, rubbing it around and irritating it even more. Your eyes are red and it's still not out. Eyes already red and it's still not out. So when you're able to get whatever it is that's impeding your vision out of your eye, then it's easier for you to have a clearer vision for someone else. And I think the key is not that you don't see, but that you don't judge, right? Not that you don't see, but that you don't judge. The danger in getting in the position of judgment is the very thing that you begin to judge people on, you will see either in your life or you'll see in your children or someone in your family. You'll find it coming up. That's why when people go crazy on homosexuality, normally there's going to end up in their family or it's already there. Well, everybody's got somebody in their family that's, I'm not going to say everybody. Yeah, pretty much. It's gay, lesbian, bisexual, transsexual, queer. I'm trying to think of all the determinations, right? You know, somebody that's in that family, right? Somebody that's in that family, right? And so they're also a part of your family. Well, what happens is that makes you look at it a little differently, or you got to reconcile that thing, right? So it's not that you have to agree with that, what everybody does. You have to, you know, accept it. It's not, what does it even have to do with you for real, right? But it is that you can't think that you're somehow better than someone. Really? You think you're better than them because your sin is different. No, you guys, we deal with this all the time. Just because your sin is different doesn't make you better, right? And just to be honest, let me just, a moment of transparency. God really had to get me together on that because I would find myself really in a place where I was kind of looking kind of crazy at my ex-husband. But I had my own stuff, right? So I couldn't judge him. His stuff was different. It showed up different for him than it showed up for me. But this is the reality. When you've experienced trauma, when you've gone through stuff, then you will often find yourself seeking comfort and solace in something, right? And so you got to be careful what that is. Now, let me help you guys out. You may think that somehow because you're in the church that you're better than someone who has gone through trauma and they drink, they eat, they have sex, whatever, they use drugs, whatever it is they do, right? But your drug, what you use is the church. You're in the church from the time it opens to the time it closes. You're in there every single day because you don't want to deal with your life. So you use the church as a drug to medicate you, right? That's not what the church is for. It is not to medicate you. It is definitely for healing. It is definitely the place to get medicine. But when we create this false world or this false sense of security, this falseness that is rooted in just being in church or in religion, then we discover eventually, or we don't, some people don't discover it, that we've been using the church like a drug. So how you judging the person that's on drugs when your drug is just different? You may not smoke weed. You may not do coke. You may not do crack. You may not do LSD or any hallucinogens or any of that. But your drug is church. Your drug is shouting. Your drug is falling out. Your drug is all of these things that are have a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. So there's no power in it because it is almost a form and a fashion, right? So you just use the church as your drug. It became your drug. And I'm not talking about anything that I do not know, because I use the church as your, listen, I remember this. I'd gone through some trauma. And I felt like I just needed some clear, definitive rules, right? So I found myself in a religion that was very rules-based, rules-oriented, right? Because I needed a lot of structure, right? It was very structure-oriented, right? And so while I was in the midst of my trauma, my drama, my trying to overcome, it worked. It gave me a sense of security because it gave me clear guidelines, clear direction, right? This is right, this is wrong. But as I continued on, what I discovered and what I realized was that it was a false sense of security. Because see, it worked for a while, but then I started saying, well, wait a minute now. Well, why are these people better than these people? Because these people don't do this and these people do. I don't agree with that, right? The word that's not what the word says, right? So it created a challenge for me. But in the beginning, I needed that to replace my previous drug. And I'm not talking about an actual chemical drug, but it was my drug of choice, right? Which was sex, okay? And so I needed something that would structure me, something that would allow me to stay pure, stay holy, right? And yet, I found myself in the midst of it beginning to judge others based on the outward appearance, what they did or didn't do, how they dressed, how they showed up, all of those things. God was not pleased with that. Y'all, I'm just telling you. I know we say, oh, we're executing righteous judgment. Okay. So it's what you're doing with that judgment that becomes extremely problematic, right? If you see something, you see your brother, your sister, they're going down a path that, you know, you're like, I don't know about that path, right? It's not judging if you are concerned about them and you say something to them. Where the judgment comes is when you begin to elevate yourself and other people above them because of where they are at that particular moment. I'm not even telling you don't help anybody else, but I'm telling you this. Get some clearer vision before you do. Make sure your vision is clear, that it's not distorted, and so that you're getting a distorted view and you're responding in a distorted way, okay? So it becomes important that we understand that God is doing something. He is doing something that is designed to change our lives and change us, and not to make us robots who simply follow rules, but to get us to a place where we are in relationship with God so much that we hear his voice and we want to respond to his voice and to his love, that everything doesn't have to be about, well, if I do this, then I'm going to get punished, and you're avoiding the punishment. It's the difference between positive and negative reinforcement. It's the difference between punishment and reward. It's the difference between those things, because when it is rooted in, where's the root? That becomes the key. Where's the root? Where's the root? What is it rooted in? What is your conversation rooted in? What are your words and your suggestions rooted in? Where is it coming from? Is it coming from a place of love, or is it coming from a place of judgment? Where are you rooted? Is your goal to make yourself look better than that person? Where is it rooted? Where is it rooted? What's the root, right? So you got to figure out the root. See, a lot of what we need is root work. You know, we want to talk about people working roots. We need to work some roots, work our roots up out the ground, those negative ones. That's what we need to do. We need to do some root work. Find the root, pull the root up so that we'll be able to go forward without the negative contamination that comes from poisonous roots. Now listen. The word goes on to say, don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. And this is the King James Version says, cast not thine pearls before swine. Cast not thine pearls before swine. Now listen, your pearls are things that are precious. It can be knowledge, it can be wisdom, it can be resources, it can be your love, it can be your intellect, it can be a number of things, right? Don't waste it on people who are not going to appreciate it. They can't appreciate it. Don't waste it on them. It says, don't throw your pearls to pigs. Why? They're going to trample your pearls, and then they're going to turn around and they're going to attack you. So listen, what does that mean? And why is that connected to this judgment thing? So you notice in verses 3-5, it talks about the speck in your friend's eye and being able to get it out, right? Well, if you are trying to help someone and that person doesn't want to be helped, you're casting your pearls before swine. You're throwing your pearls before pigs. And they're going to get frustrated because I didn't ask you for your assistance. I didn't ask you to give me that. Oh, thank you. I didn't ask you for that. Now listen to me. I want y'all to get this, and I want y'all to understand clearly. I'm not saying that we are not to help people. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is this, though. I'm saying we need to examine the root of why we're helping people and how we're helping people. We need to examine our eyes to see if we have anything in our vision that is distorting our vision so we can't see clearly in order to help them in the way that they need to be helped, not the way we think we ought to help them, right? There's a difference. There's the way they need to be helped, and there's the way we think that we should help them just because that's what we want to do, okay? And then go on to not wasting our pearls, not taking that which is holy and throwing it to the unholy. Now, that doesn't mean taking what's holy and throwing it to the unsaved or anything. That's not what that means. But when you take the precious things that God has deposited in you, and you try to force them on people that don't want them, to them, they have no value, right? They have no value. So you're casting your pearls before the pigs, and they're going to stomp on it and say, why are you putting this over here? I don't like this. I don't agree with this. I don't want this. So you're trying to help, but you're not really helping because they don't want your help. Did they ask? Did they ask for it? If they didn't ask for it, you've got to be careful. And that's why we have to pay attention to the promptings of the Spirit of the Lord, right? So you got to know how to hear the voice of God and when to move and when to speak and all of those things, right? So it says that not only are they going to trample the pearls, but then they're going to turn around and attack you. Okay, I'm going to give y'all a prime example. Y'all ready? This is a common one. You find out that your friend's significant other is cheating. You decide that you're going to help your friend out and you're going to tell them that their significant other is cheating. You go to them and you tell them, girl, man, and then you tell them the rest of it, they cheating. So now they're going to confront them. They're going to go confront them, and they're going to say, it wasn't me. They're going to tell you who said it, who said it. Then they're going to point out all the reasons why that person is a hater and they just don't want them to be happy and they're trying to destroy their relationship and they never really liked them and all that stuff. And that person is starting to feel some type of way. Well, maybe they are. Well, yeah, that's right. So then they're mad at you because you told them. They're mad at you. Mad at you. That's right, Stacey. Whole time you're trying to protect them. But they didn't ask for your protection. And the truth of the matter is most people don't want to know if their significant other is cheating because they're going to have to make a decision. And they really don't want to know if it means that people that they know that the person is cheating. They don't want to know. Most people don't want to know. They don't want to know because then they got to do something with that information. So what am I going to do with this information, right? So I got to decide if I'm just going to sit on this or if I'm going to confront them. And if I confront them and they say it wasn't me, if they say, baby, I don't know what you're talking about. Did they touch me? If they didn't touch me, they can't prove it was me, all of that stuff. And then now that person is doubting you and questioning your friendship and your relationship. That's how you lose friends. That's how you lose friends. Now listen, I've been on both sides, right? I've been on the side where, and I'm a little different, right? I want to know. Okay. I want to know. Tell me. Right. But most people don't because of how people respond. Right. But I want to know. And I've been on the side where people knew and didn't tell me. And so then I'm looking stupid. And I've been on the side where I told someone and they got mad at me and began to attack me and my name got tore up and dragged through the mud. So I'm just telling you that you have to be careful with how you use and where you put your desire to protect, your energy, your resources, your time, all of those things. You've got to begin to protect that, right? Because you don't want to waste that on people who don't appreciate it. Have you ever taken time out of your day to do something nice for someone and they didn't appreciate it? They didn't say thank you. It was nothing. Yeah. That's what that's like, right? Except you also get attacked on top of it. You all listen. I want to tell you something that in this season, you can't afford to do it. And it means that you got to change some relationships. Let's slide back to Pac for just a second. Tupac had a number of different relationships. And in fact, it was his relationships with different groups of people that I believe, and it is suggested, led to the attacks that he experienced. And now what I'm not going to say is led to his death. I'm going to say led to his shooting because I don't believe Tupac is dead. Somewhere in the world, Tupac is celebrating his 50th birthday. Pac, just know I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Because I don't think he's dead. So that said, we've got to understand that this judging thing that we do, probably in a witness protection program somewhere, y'all, because listen. This judging thing that we do, it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And I'm going to tell you why. Because it creates undue strain on relationships and it prevents people from being able to get what they need at a particular time. So can we just kind of shift? Let's talk about some alternative ways of doing this, okay? So you've got a friend and they've got something going on in their life and you're concerned about them, right? How about you do this? Y'all ready? Hold on. Pray. 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 And if God leads you, pray for them. Pray for their situation. Speak life into their situation. And if God leads you to talk to the person, then definitely do it. But let God do the leading. Don't be doing it out of your flesh. See, this is what I'm talking about when I talk about what is the motivation, what's motivating you, what is your impetus, what is your why, right? So if it's coming from your flesh because you're looking at them and they're wrong and they're doing wrong and they need to be corrected and they need to fix it, that ain't your job. You are not the fix-it police. You are not the you're wrong police. You are not the sin police. It is the job of the Holy Spirit to convict the believer, to create change. Because all that happens is when you go in as the sin police, as you go in as the great fixer, the great corrector, you want to correct everybody. You need to be looking at your life, baby. If you've got some stuff that's off in your life, you be careful about always trying to go correct somebody else's and you can't correct your own. That's a problem. That's a whole problem, y'all. So rather than getting caught up in that, how about we do this? How about we do this? How about we do this? We see someone and we feel like they are in error as it relates to the word, right? I'm not saying don't say anything. This is what I'm saying. Before you say something to that person, you better go to God. Go to God. Get clearance from him. Because if God gives you clearance to say something, then it's not going to do a lot of damage. At least it won't do a lot of permanent damage. Okay. So God is never going to, let me not say never. Hold on. Let me sip again. God, and let me take this down. God is a God of reconciliation. He's a God of relationship. And so he wants us to be able to have healthy relationships with one another. And that means that sometimes we have to have some difficult conversations. And I get that. Like, that's not what I'm talking about, but I'm talking about these people. And y'all know some of these people. Maybe y'all don't. Anybody on here have somebody in their life or know someone or had somebody in their life who just specialized in telling everybody else what they did wrong? Anybody? Is it just me? Anybody experience that? They life jacked up and raggedy, but they are always telling somebody else what they did wrong. Anybody? Yeah. Right. So don't be that person. Don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. Don't do that. Let that not be what you're known for. There are people that people avoid because of that. They always got something to say about everybody else's life. Always telling everybody else what they need to do, what they need to fix. Okay. What you doing with your life? How your life looking? Why your life looking so raggedy, but you so intent on focusing on my life? It would seem like you would be better, your time would be better served, better spent focusing on fixing what's wrong with your life. I'm just saying. We get caught up in the wrong things. I'm not going to go through the whole chapter. I'm going to stop right there. So, I gotta go a step further. Let me go a step further. Let me go on and go a step further because, okay, based on what I said, it makes sense. Okay, so hold on. Let me pull it back up. We're going to go to the next section. And the next section deals with prayer. And it says, verse 7, keep on asking. 7, Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. Wow. Keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks, receive. Everyone who seeks, finds. And to everyone who knocks, the door will be opened. Your parents, if your children if your children ask for a loaf of bread, do you give them a stone instead? Or if they ask for a fish, do you give them a snake? Of course not. So if you sinful people know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your heavenly Father give good gifts to those who ask him? The effective, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much, right? So keep on asking and you will receive what you ask for. Keep on seeking and you will find. Keep on knocking and the door will be opened unto you. For everyone who asks receives, everyone who seeks finds, and to everyone who knocks, the door will be open. And if we as parents want to give our children the best, how much more so does God want to do that for us? How much more so? How much more so? Listen, God desires to give us good gifts, right? But it requires us. It requires us to be willing to accept them, to be open to them, regardless of how they come. See, this is the thing. God can send things to you a number of ways. He can send things to you a number of ways. But the question is, will you send it regardless of how he sends it? Will you accept it regardless of how he sends it? Who's the messenger? You may need a word and he has someone give you a word. It may be a homeless person giving you a word and you don't accept it because the person is homeless. Baby, you better take that word from God. God uses whoever and whatever he wants to in order to get a message to us. So now, let's talk about this, right? So now, we talked about the prayer and I said, listen, if you're really concerned about somebody, pray. God will let you know whether or not to talk to them. God will let you know whether or not that you need to address it. God will let you know that. And if he says, yay, address it, then you address it. And if he says, don't. And don't let anybody make you feel bad for not. I appreciate God's amazing love and his incredible wisdom, because it positions us to really have to hear from him and to really get out of ourselves and our judgment, right? And allow God to be the great judge. And for us to share great love, right? So if you can love people through their the rough patch, the rough spot, what they're going through, then when they're on the other side, there's an even greater appreciation for your relationship, for what has transpired, for what you all were able to build. TUPAC, I believe with everything in me, TUPAC had to disappear or he was going to be killed. And I believe that though it was not necessarily what he wanted, he did it to protect his life and to be able to build. When you look at your life, are you judging? Are you judgmental? Are you always judging people and looking down your nose at them? If you are, repent. Turn from it, walk away from it, and watch what God will do in your life. You all listen, I'm super excited that I was able to share this word with you all today or tonight. And I'm even more excited about what God is doing. To be able to operate in that level of maturity requires a certain level of healing, right? And so for that reason, we are actually doing a self-healing class. It's an 8-week class. I'm doing it with Coach Eric Shaw. That you guys can register for. We have a few spots left, but I want you all to get made whole. I want you to want to be whole, right? I want you to want to be whole. Now, if you want to sow a seed, pay your tithes, give an offering, I want you to go to Cash App, $Passionate Pursuit. Cash App, $Passionate Pursuit. And watch what God does for you. I believe that God is looking for some people who are willing to do what he says do, even if it looks crazy, even if it's inconvenient. Watch what God does. You all, with that said, I want to let you know that I love you guys to life and life more abundant. I'm super excited about what's happening. I encourage you to tune in on Sundays at 9:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for our worship service at Passionate Pursuit of Manifested Ministries. And so let's get this thing together. Let's take it to the next level, and let's love one another with the love of the Lord, that he might be glorified and magnified and exalted and lifted up in the earth. Listen, you guys, I absolutely love you guys to life and life more abundant. Have an amazing night. Mwah.